Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I just wanted to say that during this podcast, every now and then, I'll do some talking, but then I'll do some practical things. So today's a practical exercise you can do to help rid yourself of all your demons to a degree. And I suggest writing, journaling. Just write, like either type or write. I'm not talking about speaking. We'll do another section on that. They found that when you write things out, I think something like 96% of it is released. I don't know who came up with that, but it sounded pretty cool to me. And a lot less when you actually speak. So there's something about the written word. So I suggest you buy yourself a cheap little book from the supermarket like I have. And my son calls it my hate book, which I think is really funny because I just write whatever I want to get it out of my system. I never show it to anyone. Once it's done, it's done. Some people suggest you burn it and put it in the freezer. And to be quite honest, I can't be bothered. I just want to get it out. And I'm not sending it to anyone, so get it out, and then when I finish my book I can chuck it in the bin. It's up to you how you do it. I usually write because I find that when I write it kind of, the hand and the head are working together, but you can do it any way you like. So you just focus on something you want to write about in terms of the abuse. I wrote a lot about my dad because he was the abuser when I was young, and so I just wrote tons and tons about how I felt about what he did and how cross I was with him. And I think at one stage I had 5 or 6 pages, and all I wrote on those pages was "I hate you" in big letters, and I just kept writing it and then ended up crying like a little person, and then it was out. And then I wrote about how I felt about the things he did. I wrote about how it made me feel. I used a lot of swear words. I didn't used to swear as much, but once I started to recover from my abuse, my swear a lot extended till I ran out of words. So I just put them together. I put words together to make new swear words. And you mustn't feel badly. What you're doing is you're getting to express all the anger and the hurt. If you're in a place that you can read your writing, which isn't always in my place, it's good for you to read it back to yourself. Like read it aloud though. You can read it to another person if you have someone close and intimate that you want to share with, or you just read it back to yourself, and you'll often find you'll start crying when you read it. It'll bring up the emotion. That's what we're trying to do. There was so much in your throat that you couldn't say, so much you couldn't do because you were either scared or overpowered or manipulated. And now we're trying to get that out of your throat, out of your system. So it's very, very good that you don't make rules about what you can and can't say. In addition, you can write letters to people. You don't send them, of course, but you write the Dear John letter, and you write what you think, how you felt, and just write until it writes out. Don't make like a rule. Just write it till you run out. One day it might be 1 page, and another day it might be 10 pages. But it will get it out of your system, and this will help you release and heal from the abuse. It's a really practical thing to do. The writing allows you to express yourself. And the one thing that you'll find when you're being abused is you can't express yourself. If you do express yourself, you'll probably get hurt even more. And as a young child, you'll learn that, to be quiet. You'll even get to the stage where you learn not to cry, because if you get hit for crying, you won't cry. So you bottle that all up. And this is the unbottling stage. It's very, very powerful. I'm always drawn to go back and do it again. I filled up quite a few books when I first found out, writing it out. And in my case, once my stuff came out, my father didn't want to have anything to do with me, nor my sister. I had no way to express it. I couldn't sit and scream at them or go to their door and scream at them. It wasn't viable, and actually it wasn't safe. With my father, it would have been a dangerous thing to do because he actually had guns at the house, and I knew that. So it wasn't going to be a smart thing to turn up at Dad's and express yourself. But it was pretty smart to stay home in your bedroom with the heater on and express yourself and eat some chocolate at the same time. You will think it's just, oh, well, whatever, but it's very, very powerful, and it gets the emotion out. And that's what I want to get you to understand, that your emotions from the abuse are trapped in your body and your mind, and they're the things that are causing the problem. It ties you to the abuse. If you're very upset or angry with somebody, it actually ties you to the abuse, and it's really hard to move on. But once you write about your anger and your hurt and you're upset and all the things that happen, you'll actually find it a much easier process to move on. I found I could move on more quickly within maybe a few days or a week. I wasn't feeling so hateful, revengeful, angry. I wasn't feeling those things. But at the beginning, I really was. I was really, 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 really cross and really angry. And that's the thing. Our society doesn't want us to be angry and cross. And even if you're with your friends, they start in the end, they get sick of hearing about it. And they'll start telling you to think on the positive side. And you don't really need that. You need to get it out. It's like cathartic. It's like you can't get rid of the rubbish without hosing it through and getting rid of it. So I highly suggest you do it. The thing will happen in blocks. Like I did a lot of work on it for a while, and then it sort of settled, and then some more stuff came up that I learned about or remembered. Then I had to go and do some more. Don't think it as failure. Just think of it as like getting rid of the rubbish. Just see it like I've got a lot of baggage from it. I'm going to get rid of it, and then that way I can get well. These emotions, unfortunately, are the precursor to getting sick. You'll often have emotional stuff and then it'll become a physical manifestation. And that's also why you don't want this person to wreck your life. They already wrecked it. You don't want them to give you heart attack, cancer. You don't want that. Being suicidal, depressed. You don't want that. So you want to get rid of it. And that's what I'm talking about, getting rid of it. Over time, it will clear more and more. As you go down the layers and you learn some things, like I learned more and more as I went down, it got worse and worse, the emotion will be stronger, but that's okay. So you just let that go and you let it out. And then you walk around not feeling full of hate and anger and hurt. And that's going to help all your other relationships, because while you're carrying those emotions, people can pick up on it, and that can affect good relationships that you now have. I strongly urge you to do the journaling. I think writing the actual personal letter to each of your people who abused you, and this can be people at work as well, is a really good thing. And it's a really good, if you're still dealing with the person, it gives you a lot of clarity around what's upsetting you with them. And once you get rid of the emotion, you might actually say to them, I don't want you to do this, or I don't like it when you do that, stop doing it. Because you won't have the emotion. It'll be more like a head comment rather than a heart comment where you feel all emotional about it. It'll also help you go into new relationships. If you want to start a new relationship with someone, you won't bring that baggage, particularly if it's been an adult abuse relationship that you come out of. You don't want to bring that into the next one, and then all your trust issues, etc., etc., etc. Because this person's a new person. They're not an abuser. They're a new person. But you don't want to act like you're a crazy abused person either, okay? So start writing. If you can keep it, and you can read your writing, or if you do it on the computer, it's easier to read, obviously. I suggest you don't correct it as you go along. Like, just let it flow out. If you make a mistake with the word or don't spell it right, it's okay as long as you can read it back or you got it out. Don't do corrections. But it's interesting to go back as well in time, if you keep your books, and go back and read what you wrote maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and then read what you're writing now. And you might find there's things in there that will trigger and help you release even more, because when you're doing it in this way and it's like free flowing, it's really coming like from your heart. It's really genuine. It's really authentic. You're not being polite. And I found when I got really mad, I used lots of capitals, which is actually good for me because I could actually read my writing, because I'm a bit of a messy writer. And I think you'll find that it will be really cathartic for you. So get your book, start your writing. When you're getting upset and you can't go to sleep, switch the light on if you possibly can, or whatever, or leave the room if you've got your partner, and go to the room and just write it all out and get it out your system, and then you maybe can go to sleep, because it's all pent up in you, see, and it needs to come out. So I'm wishing you well, and good luck with your writing. You can always write to me on YouTube, obviously. You do any messages, that'd be interesting to know how you went. I found it really powerful. Okay, I'm sending you lots of love and lots of light.